Hi guys, it's G. Today I wanted to talk about things that are health and fitness related here in Korea. Quick trigger warning before we get into the video. I will be discussing body types and showing some images of very thin people in this video. So if that sounds like it's going to be triggering for you, then please feel free to click out of this video. Please don't watch this video if it's going to be harmful for you and your mental health. I'll also be discussing my own personal health and fitness journey here in Korea and how I maintain my current fitness levels, fitness routine here in Korea. So if you'd like to know about that, then stick around till the end. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was actually the beauty standard here in Korea when it comes to the body, the way that the body looks. What's that called? Body image. As I do live in Korea, it is the beauty standard that I am subjected to on a daily basis. I don't think that is any secret that the Korean beauty standards are extremely high. The ideal figure in Korea is very, very skinny. And if we go off the blueprint that a lot of people provide for finding your ideal weight in Korea, then mine would be 52 kilograms. For me, if I weighed 52 kilograms, that would definitely put me in the underweight category for my height. It's quite literally, by definition, an unhealthy weight for my body, yet it's the ideal beauty standard for me, apparently. And I know some people might say, well, it's a beauty standard for Koreans, so foreigners don't necessarily have to fit into the standard, which I get where you're coming from, but when it's the beauty standard that you are surrounded by on a daily basis, you start to internalize it without really realizing it. When I first came to Korea, my Korean co-teachers would constantly go on about certain beauty ideals that they had concerning their bodies in particular. This one girl wanted to get fat removal surgery for her arms. Her arms were so skinny already, and I was just like, fat removal where? What fat are we trying to remove, girl? Because you've got none. I don't understand. That just goes to show how far these beauty standards have people scrutinizing themselves. Another Korean co-teacher that I had was obsessed with latest body trend at the time, which was apparently referred to as an ant waist, which unfortunately is what it sounds like. It was the idea that your waist was so tiny, so skinny, that you had the proportions of an ant. And these were just regular conversations that I would have with the people who were around me on a daily basis. At the time, I didn't even realize, but I was starting to internalize all of these ideals. And I did go on a couple of really strict diets during my first year in Korea because I did start to internalize those thoughts of wanting to be really skinny. With that being said, I'm pretty sure you can probably tell from looking at me that that's definitely not the case now. I'm much, much bigger than I was back then, but I am much happier, and that's the most important thing. The skinny standard that I was chasing was making me quite unhealthy and becoming quite obsessive. I had to slap some sense into myself and be like, this is turning into something that's quite dangerous, so I need to stop doing that. I'm not naturally petite, I'm not short, and I'm not skinny. I don't have that natural skinny build that some people have, and that's okay. That's just not the body type that I was born with, and it's not the body type that I personally can maintain through healthy means. Could I maintain it if I starve myself? Yeah, sure, but that's not healthy. I'm going to choose health every time, and my healthy body is not a skinny body. I went down a rabbit hole on health and fitness for women. Weightlifting kept coming up over and over again, and how women in particular really have to lift weights because women naturally lose a lot of bone density as they get older, and so they're more prone to osteoporosis and generally becoming more frail as they get older. I was like, that doesn't sound like a fun time. I better get on this weightlifting thing. I got very into weightlifting from that moment on. I loved the feeling of being strong and getting stronger. I think anyone who has felt weak or vulnerable at some point in their lives goes through the same thing. Now, my goal is to be as healthy as possible, but I would be lying if I said that that was my only goal, because I do still have an aesthetic goal. But now, instead of it being, I want to be as skinny as possible, it's, I want to be as buff as possible. I think that muscular women look really cool. I know that that's a preference. I know not everybody thinks this way, but I personally do. Lean beef patty, I think she is so cool and her body is just amazing. That is obviously a very, very long way away from the beauty standard here in Korea, but it is the one that I want for myself personally. I don't really give a fuck about what other people think anymore, and that has been the most liberating thing ever for me, because I used to be so tied down by other people's opinions of me, and I used to put so much weight into what other people thought of me. To reach the point that I'm at right now is incredibly liberating. Also, I like being able to strike fear into Hongdae boys' hearts. Now, I just want to briefly touch upon the differences in gym culture here in Korea versus the UK. I get stared at a lot more in Korea. It's just the reality of being a foreigner in Korea. You naturally stick out like a sore thumb. I get stared at no matter where I go. It's a white girl in the gym. It honestly doesn't bother me that much. It's just something that I've noticed here, is that I definitely do get looked at more in the gym here than I ever got looked at in the UK. I kind of got used to it now, like the staring doesn't really bother me, but if you're a gym newbie and you're getting looked at that much, then I can imagine that would be really unnerving. I think what also ties into this is that, as I mentioned, women are expected to be very skinny. Korean women, they just don't like anything essentially that adds bulk to their frame. So muscle, although having muscle is a healthy thing and it's a good thing, they don't want that either. With that being said, there aren't a lot of women in gyms in Korea that are lifting heavy weights. We'll see women lifting weights for sure, but it's rare to see women lifting very heavy weights. And I think this stems from the age-old myth of toning. If you still think that muscle toning is a thing, I'm sorry, I'm here to tell you that it is not. You can't tone a muscle. Your muscles either grow bigger or they shrink, they get smaller. There's like this whole myth around how women don't want to build muscle, they just want to tone. No woman in the history of planet Earth has ever gotten bulky without trying to get bulky. I can promise you.
You should see how I put on muscle. In 1 month, I'll literally look like Sam Sulek. And that's true. I'll start to look like a burly man. It's true. It's happened. Yeah, I would lift weights, but I like to be feminine.
I have been hypertrophy training for around 2 years now, and I have been training with the intention of getting bulky. And to me, at least, I don't think that I look muscular. I'm definitely not at the point that I want to be at yet. I'm intentionally trying to look bulky, and believe me, it is hard. If you want to look toned, you can easily achieve that by lifting weights. You don't have to do these tiny little weights and do like 20 reps to tone muscles. You can just use regular weights that challenge you and then just build the amount of muscle mass you like and then stop when you have reached the point you want to be at. You don't have to keep lifting heavy weights if you don't want that bulky look. After that massive rant about toning, I want to talk about my personal fitness routine and how I've maintained my routine since moving to South Korea. I currently do weight training 4 times per week. It was 5 times per week, but I dropped it down to 4 because I decided that I want to incorporate running into my routine. My cardiovascular health is not where I would want it to be. So with incorporating running into my routine, I decided to drop a day of weight training. I would love to sit on here and say that I am consistent every single week, and every single week I never miss a weight training session, but that is simply not true. I would be a big fat liar if I said that. However, I will give myself credit and say, in general, I am consistent. And I think what helps me personally keep up with my routine is that I have a very in-depth workout routine and schedule. I have a Excel sheet that tracks what exercise I do, what weight I did, how many sets I did, how many reps each set, all of that stuff. Then each week I can look back at what I did the previous week and try and either go up in weight or do more reps than I did the previous week. I think having a set routine is actually really important because you know as soon as you get in the gym what you're supposed to be doing. You're not just like mindlessly wandering around the gym, because that then gives you time to think like, do I really need to be here today? It gives you time to contemplate while you're there. It gives you time to back out, and that's not what we want. So I think having a set routine in mind when you step into the gym of like, oh, I'm going to do this today, I know exactly what I'm doing, that helps a lot. I have a clear goal in mind, and that is to get stronger. I think is a really good second tip. That goal should ideally be more than just an aesthetic one. I think it should be health related. The reason why I say that is because there's nothing wrong with having an aesthetic goal. As I mentioned, I myself have an aesthetic goal, but I think in order to keep yourself accountable, it needs to be a goal that is more than just, I want to look a certain way, because you don't look that way yet. If that's what you're using as your motivation to exercise, then that can fizzle out very quickly, because as soon as you look in the mirror and you don't see that aesthetic goal in front of you, you can feel very demoralized, and that can really demotivate you and derail you. As I mentioned, mine is improving my overall health and strength. That motivates me on days where I don't want to go. I also like setting little alarms for myself. So if it's time to go to the gym, I have an alarm set that tells me. Having a clear goal in mind, having a set routine that you know you can stick to and you can follow. Setting an alarm for yourself to remind you, hey, it's time to get your ass up and go to the gym. These are the things that at least work for me. Hopefully they will work for you guys too. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.